Did you ever play Dick Seitz head-to-head? He had a set of cards always open out in his desk, right? I mean, that was a...
Well, he had an affinity for the 30 season. So he was doing a replay up in the conference room in the third floor. And he was pretty much just writing lineups and playing games and trying to get players involved, part-timers and so forth. And at some point during that, and it was going to be a lifetime process for him. He was playing every game for all the teams, National and American League. And it was at some point where I found out that you could write to the Baseball Hall of Fame and get photocopies of the box scores. And I told him that. And he wrote and got box scores for 30, I think 41, and there's another season in there, 33 or something like that. And he actually went back and started his replay over again, using the actual lineups as best he could, because the cards were limited to 25 players, because we had done a XB set for that season a couple years after the original set was issued. And then he would actually have us go up, or he did it himself. He would go up in the third floor warehouse where we had past seasons inventory stored. And if there was a guy who didn't have a card in 30, but he had one in 34 or 20, 26 or whatever set we might have had, he'd pull those cards out just so he had a card for that player to use in his weekly.
And speaking of which, speaking of the XBs, no more XBs, correct? Any early feedback on that, or?
Well, there was an email sent out to the people on the email list Friday, and so I actually hadn't turned my work computer on yesterday or today, so I don't know. But there's not going to be, I think it would be positive feedback for people who bought them anyway, because now instead of making it 2 extra purchases, it's all one, and the price is basically the same. I think it's a nickel or a dime more, but it's the people that are going to complain, of course, are the people who didn't buy the XBs in the past. So instead of getting 20 players per team, they now get 30, but of course they're paying about $20 more to get those 10 players. So hopefully they'll use them and not just set them aside. If you pay for them, why not use them? Although the leagues have a problem. There are some leagues who only use the basic 20 players. And I'm hoping those leagues aren't going to ask me, who were the last 10 guys that you picked? Because I don't think I'm going to keep that distinction. So hopefully they just use them. And of course you can't decide on your own, okay, we'll decide which 10 we won't use. Well, suppose you own several of these guys. You're not going to say, well, I won't use that guy. I mean, especially if he's a B reliever or something like that. So, it may cause a few things, but hopefully pass over.